Dave, so wonderful to have the opportunity to talk to you about this. First off, I'm coming to you from Toronto, where, of course, the film had its big premiere at TIFF in
Right.
2019. And, I was in that Midnight Madness audience,
Oh, you
and
were?
yeah, I saw you get up on that stage, and you got a little emotional, my friend, because you had seen it for the first time. What was that experience like for you to watch this performance back?
Man, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was, well, the first time honestly, I haven't seen it in in several months now. I don't know when the last time I saw it was, maybe even before the pandemic, I guess. But I get emotional when I watch it because it was such a difficult experience. It was so much hard work, and it was so rewarding in the end. Um, so there's a number of reasons I could get emotional.
Yeah,
Whether it's pride of of a job well done, or whether it's sorrow that I didn't do a good enough job, or whether it's remembering the pain that Yakov went through and that I went through Yakov on set of
yeah.
filming it, or whether it's out of compassion for the people like Yakov that exist in the world every day and continue to struggle. Um, so I don't remember exactly why in that moment I was emotional, but I can tell you it's never far from me when I see the film.
I can imagine. Listen, this is an all-consuming role. And I grew up, I went to Hebrew day school. I was pretty, went to synagogue when I was young with my family, yada yada yada. There was a lot of stuff in this film I learned. A muzik, I never knew. I knew a dibik, I never knew a muzik. So tell me, especially you yourself being Jewish, how did this strike you, and what did you learn from playing this guy?
Well, it was really incredible because, at first I thought, well, I'm Jewish, I can play this, but I approached it as sort of an outsider.
Yeah.
This is a community that I know nothing about. This is a community that's separate from me, is how I began my journey.
Mhm.
Let me ingrain myself in a community that I am not a part of, and come in as an outsider. And I even had a little bit of fear very early in the project. I think before I even went to New York, that maybe I will be treated as an outsider. And the deeper into the community I got, the more I realized I'm the farthest thing from an outsider. This is my community. About 3 or 4 generations ago, if my family had had a slightly different attitude towards Americanization, I could have been living in Borough Park with Yakov.
Absolutely.
And and my family is from New York. So it's like, and then as I started studying the dialect and the language, it started to feel so familiar to me. And then I'd be on the street with Menashe. We'd be surrounded by Hasidics, wondering what the heck we're up to. And people would come up to us and they'd start speaking to us in Yiddish. And I'd
Yeah.
say, Menashe, what did he say? What did they say? What did he say? And he's telling me everything. Finally, this one guy comes up and he goes, "Oh, him? No, he's a nudge." And I went, "A nudge? Like, what does nudge mean?" He goes, "A nudge. He's like a nudge is a person who you say, 'How are you doing?' And then they actually give you an answer."
Right.
Um, and I said, my mom's been calling me a nudge my entire life. Like, I don't even think she knows she's speaking Yiddish. And
Right.
so as I'm learning it, there's like all these words that I'm like, we use that word in my family. And some of it we know is Yiddish, and some of it I'd like go home. I call my parents after set and be like, "Did you know that blah, blah, blah is Yiddish?" And they go, "It is? I've been saying that my whole life. I just got it from grandma, I guess." And so that was really incredible. And
Exactly. Well, there are words that we people just use. Yeah.
yeah, so I
Yeah,
learned a
absolutely.
lot about myself.
There's I can imagine. I can imagine. And doing this role, I understand that there was some kind of creepy elements around it as well, because in the cast and crew, your own grandfather had passed away while you were making this, and then in the location that you shot, the person who lived there, she passed away. I mean, did you not feel like ghosts? Like I don't understand like how you could have felt that this really connected with you while making it.
No, I did. You're right. I felt constantly surrounded. Um, I was in this very cold apartment, uh, predominantly alone, and it's really what I needed for that role and what I wanted to sort of descend into Yakov's despair,
Yeah.
but also to have the time and space necessary to talk to myself and learn the dialect and learn dialogue. Um, but for me, being in that empty space was really sort of the madness that I craved,
Right.
to find this character. And there were times that were extremely frightening and extremely difficult. Um, I've actually not told this to anyone, but there was one night where I even contemplated hurting myself, and that was really where it got scary, and that's where I had to remind myself that it's a performance, and that, um, as I always say in acting, even as a method actor, I always say safety first,
Yes.
because many actors will willingly and joyously put themselves in harm's way to get a shot, to get a stunt, to do something. And I've learned over my career that, as tempting as that is as an artist, um, we have to protect ourselves.
Oh,
And
100%.
so I allowed myself to come as close to the brink of madness and as I could for Yakov. And I tried to hold, and then once I found that line, I held it tight, and I and I walked that line.
Wow, Dave, you just gave me goosebumps all over. Well, I'm glad that you came to that realization because yeah, roles can be all too consuming. There's no question. And this one was just so hard hitting. Before we go, I have to ask you. I mean, you've been in a bunch of other things, obviously, but you were also in Greyhound with the great Tom Hanks.
Yep.
And I just recently spoke to Steve Zahn, and he, the
I
first
love
film
Steve
that
Zahn.
Steve did was That Thing You Do, and I
I
asked him.
love that movie.
Right. What do you learn from a man like Tom Hanks? Now, I don't want to give you his answer, but I want to know what you learned from Tom Hanks working with
I'm
him.
I'm very curious about what Steve had to say. Steve came and talked to my class when I was at Tulane, um, and I really gained a lot of value from that. Tom is fantastic to work with. What I learned from Mr. Tom Hanks is what true professionalism looks like. He is able to get to where he needs to be and do what he needs to do to give the performance he wants to give, while producing, while making sure other people on set feel heard and feel comfortable,
Yeah.
um, while appreciating that, everybody around him wants a little piece of him, a little piece of his time, and his attention, in a way, especially when he's playing the captain and we're all his crew. That we look to him for all of our guidance. And he was able to bring an element of fun and joy, but professionalism to set that was stunning to me, honestly. Of all the people I've worked with, many have I loved, but almost none have I seen wear that many hats and maintain that level of composure,
Yeah.
which was truly remarkable and enlightening as an actor, as a young actor, to witness.
That's amazing. Okay, quickly, I'll tell you what Steve told me, which was something that has stayed with him to this day. He said when they were on set for That Thing You Do, the guys came late to set, a few minutes late, not really really late, but they came late. And Tom just took them into the trailer and said, "You're not going to do that again." And they go, "Oh yeah, we're really really sorry. Like we didn't mean. We just got a coffee." And he goes, "No, you're never going to do that ever in your career again. You're never going." Nicely, not meanly, but. And he said to this day he comes extra early and he always remembers that from Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
That's half the battle right there, showing
Yeah,
up.
absolutely. Listen, I could talk to you for hours, but I know there's other people waiting. Dave, you are so, so fantastic in this
Thank you,
film.
Bonnie.
And I hope that we will see you back in Toronto after the pandemic and maybe we can meet up together. And I'll take you for like bagels. We'll go to a kosher restaurant. We'll have a great time.
I would love that. I was a huge fan of Toronto. I can't wait to get back there.
Good stuff. We love to have you. Best of luck with the film. See you soon.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Bonnie.
Bye bye.